Another technique that you might consider is foreshadowing. And foreshadowing is a way of indicating something that is going to happen without really going into what it is, but just inferring something's going to be happening. And the way that you can foreshadow is by using dialogue or inner thoughts. Like, I didn't know what to expect when I got to the house. Just some sort of inference. It can be in the title or the title of a chapter that's intriguing, that includes information that the reader doesn't know what that means. But then as they read the book, they're going to find out. Even a story like The Wizard of Oz. Here we are, we open the story in Kansas in a farm. Who's the wizard? Where's Oz? And so the reader is already set up to know that, oh, there's going to be more that I'm discovering. I'm going to find out from this book or this movie, where's Oz and who's the wizard. So there's a way to keep listening and reading and watching to find out what that is. And it can be an omen or an ominous event is foreshadowing. Sometimes the dark weather, also in Wizard of Oz, when the sky starts to get black, it's foreshadowing, oh, the tornado's coming and things are changing. And someone might just issue a warning that's explicit. And then is that warning going to come true? Is there a good reason for that warning? And again, like the omen or an ominous event, the atmosphere can be something that is foreboding or changing, something that's going on in the setting that just sets a tone and changes the mood. Like, wow, what's going on here? What's going to happen? And so I'm going to share an example with you of just the first page of this story, which is A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor. Here are some of the ways that Flannery O'Connor is using foreshadowing. Right at the top, the grandmother didn't want to go to Florida. So that sets up who is one of the main characters in the story. It sets up that it might be her point of view, but the point of view turns out to be more omniscient in this story. And it lays out for the reader, oh, what's in Florida? Why doesn't she want to go? There's an intrigue there that comes just from that short, innocuous sentence. And so what did she do about it? She was seizing at every chance to change Bailey's mind. And we're going to find out that Bailey was her son and that he was the one that was wanting them to go to Florida. And so how is she going to be seizing every chance to change his mind? Here's one attempt. I wouldn't take my children in any direction with a criminal like that loose in it. She's just read that there's someone out loose called the Misfit, and he's loose from the federal pen and headed towards Florida. And you read here what it says he did to these people. You just read it. I couldn't answer to my conscience if I did. And so she's laying out her reasoning right here in the first paragraph of, let's not go to Florida. The Misfit is probably there. He did bad things to people, and I wouldn't want that to happen to us. So really, because we know this is a story, there's a really high probability that they're going to encounter the Misfit in this story, and that it might even get worse from there. And so there's some setup here of John Wesley, one of the kids, says to the grandmother, if you don't want to go to Florida, why don't you stay at home? And then his sister says she wouldn't stay at home to be queen for a day. And also she wouldn't stay at home for $1 million. And so they're setting up, this grandmother is not going to stay home, even if they do go to Florida. And sure enough, it foreshadows that the next morning, the grandmother was the first one in the car ready to go. So a foreshadowing can almost be used like the setup to a joke, because this is functioning just like a joke with a setup and a punchline, because this is the punchline of, boop, she's the first one there ready to go. She says she doesn't want to go. They know that she's not going to miss the trip, and there she is. So the story goes on, but it's really interesting the way that you can just lay in these really simple phrases, and they propel the reader forward to keep them reading. Some ways to not foreshadow is to not overdo it. You don't want to be building to some event that the reader is really expecting. And so what you can do is you can just check your proportion of foreshadows during your revision. Have you got more buildup than is warranted? And then does the payoff balance out everything that you've set up? And these techniques are something that you can lay in a first draft as they occur to you, but they're really something that starts to happen in revision stage, where you're able to see what you've got and, oh, here's how I can pace these foreshadows. And maybe I've got too many foreshadows in here. Let me take out these 3, and that's going to be enough. And you don't want to mislead the reader. You don't want to be so kind of obscure with the foreshadowing that the reader starts to say, well, what is going to happen? They start to fill in the blanks with something that's even worse. So then when they do get to whatever it was you were foreshadowing, it's almost like a disappointment. It's like, oh, is that it? And they feel a little bit cheated. So it's something that really takes balance and proportion. But once you have that, it's very, very effective.